Hey guys, welcome back to Super Switch U. Filming this one early because it's still like one of the only times I can actually make videos and not get interrupted and things like that. And yeah, everybody else is asleep. So I wanted to kind of go through something because sorry, hold on, baby monitor. My son's stirring quite a bit. Anyway, I wanted to go over something because of a video someone else made, and I do these occasionally. Somebody will just like inspire a whole topic of conversation. This time it's Amiibo or Botox Games. I assume his name is just Bo. Um, he was talking on a topic of people complaining that there's no games for the Switch 2. He's trying to wake up, so I gotta do this quick. Um, anyway, so I guess a lot of people were commenting on social media and YouTube and stuff like that, and he got tired of it, so he made a video and was trying to explain how there's games. Had some graphics he put out there on social media, and people were writing off the Switch 2 editions, which I get. He apparently did not, but I guess difference of opinion, really. But he then tried to compare the library back to Switch 1. He made a few mistakes, including trying to say Fire Emblem Warriors was a port, and it was not a port for Switch 1. It was a port to 3DS, the new 3DS family of systems. And it ticked me off because anytime I see something that's inaccurate, I'm like, dude, come on. I took a little research, or you could have been like me and was just there for it. But it's all right. We're going to go over it. But instead of just comparing back to Switch 1, I have pulled up a list of almost all of the mainline home consoles for Nintendo and the games that released within their first year. And by this, I don't mean calendar year, like if they released in November of '06 or 12 or 2001. Like it's not just to the end of December, but rather back to that first day. So the cutoff would be, like, for example, GameCube for North America was November 18th of 2001. So we're going back until November 17th of 2001 because 18th would start that next year. So doing that. And there's one other criteria, and that is if the system has backwards compatibility, like Switch 2, like Wii U, and Wii. And in that year, there was a game that had been re-released or slightly redone from the the backwards compatible system. So that previous generation, it is cut off the list. So for Switch 2, that includes Switch 1 edition or Switch 2 edition games. So any of the stuff that the Switch 1 game would have worked in the system doesn't count. Wii U had Wii Sports Club, which Wii Sports worked on Wii U, so it doesn't count. But for Switch 1, it had ports and HD deluxe editions for Wii U games. You could not pop the Wii U disc into the Switch 1. So those still count. That's different because the backwards compatibility was not there. Thus, they had to do this in order to make that happen. Same thing with Wii U had Wind Waker from the GameCube, which was 2 generations back, and it could be played into the Wii, but it could not be played in the Wii U. That's something else that still counts. So that's how I've comprised this list. I did go ahead and count the digital titles, even though that only goes back to technically within the first year. It only goes to Switch 1 and Switch 2, but the possibility was there back to the Wii. Sorry, you have to forgive me. I'm think I'm getting allergy issues. And just to throw this out there to anyone that's still trying to make the argument, Welcome Tour is just a tech demo. Um, I'm sorry to say that no, it really isn't. You may not like the game. I think most of us don't really care much for it, and we don't think that you should have paid money for said game. However, there are actual mini games in that game, tech demo as you want to try to call it. Thus, it is a game. So, it's here. Anyway, so with that, sorry, have to double check one time. He may have started to put himself back to sleep. So, with that said, we're going to start with Switch 2 and work our way back. Now, one final exception is I did not include the NES. We've gone back to the Super Nintendo, but the NES is a little different. Looking at that list, holy crap, that would have been a long list to have gone through, considering the fact that it looked like being the first console and being at a time when the video game crash was happening, so not a lot of people were supporting things as it was. Nintendo seemed to be the only developer and publisher for games all the way through that first year, and it was not until 1986 here in North America that we started seeing the third-party games. So for that, I'm not going to go through 20 plus games of Nintendo that like, it was building a library. So it kind of it would skew the data here to see who had the best first year, and does the Switch 2 really have no games for a Nintendo console, or is this just kind of like a standard first year kind of thing? Um, and actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there is one other thing, because thinking back to Bo's videos, he also included a small handful of games that we do not have clear release dates or even windows for the Switch 2. He included Dusk Bloods, Fire Emblem, Fortune's Weave, and Pocopia, things like that were all just slated for 2026, which that could be after June 5th, in which case it does not count. The only one that does not have a specific release date that I included was Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, because it says spring, and it is more than likely that that's going to come out before June. I would have to take a guess of either March or April. Always a chance of May, but all three of those months fit perfectly into what we're trying to do. Until we see otherwise, those other games are not here. May have to update this later. But for now, let's actually jump in. So Switch 2 started strong with a Mario Kart World, right? And then we got Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which is controversial to call it a game, but I do. So that's my opinion to put this in here. That's 2. We got Donkey Kong Bonanza in July. So 1 month later, we got one more full physical retail release Nintendo title, and then Dragon Drive in August. So that puts us where we're at now in September. September is pretty dry, and October is dry for not Switch 2 editions. So we have to wait till November 6th. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment pops out there, so that's number 5. Kirby Air Riders, and then Mario Tennis Fever February. So we're at 7 titles. Yoshi makes 8. So 8 games so far slated for the first full, like, from date to date release year. Not horrible. I mean, there's a little bit of a range there for games, right? You've got a racing game, so that scratches that itch for people, and Mario Kart is the best way to do that. You've got a giant, massive AAA game in Donkey Kong, which collectathon, adventure, platformer, maybe. Dragon Drive kind of does that sports thing. Hyrule Warriors is a massive beat 'em up, so you've got that. Uh, for some reason, we have a second racing game. And when you count in all the third-party racing games and stuff, it's sort of a pattern, and it's not like a healthy pattern there. Mario Tennis does that tennis thing. And then Yoshi's that nice casual exploratory type collectathon, which again we kind of had in Switch 2 Welcome Tour, but this just takes it and makes it feel more like a game. So there's a little bit of a range, but you're missing some good stuff: fighting games, RPGs, Mario, like a regular Mario, or a Zelda, like a new Zelda, right? Because technically, we've got the Switch 2 editions, but if you really want to count those, you count the entire Switch 1 library, in which case you can't make that argument anymore. You've got more than like thousands of games that you could be playing. So we don't count that. We don't count that. So that's 8. It's steady. By this point, Switch 1, we started with Breath of the Wild and 1-2 Switch. Now, Breath of the Wild, I'm hesitant to count, right? Because it is technically a Wii U title, but they released day and day the same, which I get you could kind of count for some Switch 2 editions. But when you don't count that, then you start taking things off like Twilight Princess, and it gets messy, right? But I feel like launch day is the one exception you can make if a game is new, right? Past that, if you're still releasing back to the previous generation console, it feels more like it's just the one. But I don't know. I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to make it make more sense than how it made sense in my brain. But Breath of the Wild, 1-2 Switch, Snipper Clips, pretty much covered March. And then Kart 8 Deluxe, because again, you could not pop in the Mario Kart disc into the Switch 1. That's what it was, because you can't pop in Breath of the Wild into Switch 1. It negates the backwards compatibility thing. That's what it was. So, 4. ARMS was in June. July had Splatoon 2. No, 6. Flip Wars came out, and that was a digital-only title. Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Pokken Tournament Deluxe, Mario Odyssey, it bumps us up to 10. Fire Emblem Warriors, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and Bayonetta 2 in February, just before that cutoff. And in cutting it off on the date, you lose Kirby Star Allies that came out at the end of March. So just shy of that. But like I said, that was there was definitely a decent chunk more. So there was 13 titles. Even if you snip off the Wii U ports, it's still 10, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 9. So you still have it beat by one game, but you can't play them. You cannot play those titles in, so they count. And that seems a bit more evened out for titles, I would think, because you've got a massive adventure game with Zelda. You've got a party type game with 1-2 Switch. And no, it's not a tech demo, because that one is games. It's just straight games. It does show what the system can do, but if you're counting that, you count Wii Sports as a tech demo. You count Wave Race Blue Storm as a tech demo. Pilot Wings and Pilot Wings 64 as tech demos, and these are not. They are considered games. So it's the same. Also, me and my friends, we got like 3+ years fun out of 1-2 Switch. Like that was our go-to party game. Every time we got together for something, we played it at least for a good 30 minutes to an hour, just having fun, and that's really all that was for. Now, could you play it by yourself? No, but it's a party game. So if it was just a designated party game, that's what it was. Um, so you had a party game, you had a racing game with Mario Kart. Arms gave you a fighting game. Splatoon 2 gave you a online multiplayer shooter. Um, Mario and Rabbids gave you strategy. Pokken Tournament. There was a second fighting game if Arms wasn't quite your thing. Uh, Fire Emblem Warriors was a beat 'em up. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was an RPG. And Bayonetta 2 brings it on home with a mature title. So, if you're really comparing Switch 2 to Switch 1, I do feel like Nintendo at least gave way more of a balanced library with Switch 1 versus Switch 2, which kind of contributes to Switch 2 feeling like there's, quote, no games. Now, I'm happy with the library we got. I'm happy with the direct that we had. I want that to be clear. Like, I liked the games, but I see where people are coming from in, like, this is not, Switch 2 is not everybody's types of games. Whereas Switch 1, Mario Kart hits a lot of people. Zelda kind of picks up some of the slack of the rest of them, and then those niche little things like Xenoblade, like Arms, like Splatoon, like Pokken Tournament. It pulls it all together. So somebody could find something in Switch 1's library. Thus, there were games. But I did say we were going to keep going back beyond that. So Wii U launching in November of 2012. Just further proof that, like, me and other people that sit here and sometimes we worry when there's not the system sellers because we want Nintendo to succeed, right? And so to reach this out, if Bo ever sees this video and you said you couldn't understand why people were concerned about it, this is why. We want to see Nintendo succeed in what they do, and we've been through systems like the GameCube and the Wii U and watched the numbers just not be there. And I did actually write down sales numbers, right? The Wii U only sold 13.5 million units and was probably their biggest failure. However, we loved that system. Like, it was a great console. GameCube not doing a whole lot better at 21 and 3/4. We don't want to see Switch 2 end up like that. And when you don't have things that bring people in, then, and Switch 2 editions, as nice as they are, the biggest problem there is the current install base for Switch 1. The current sales numbers for Switch 1. It sold over 150 million units. It was like 153.1 last time that it was updated, compared to Switch 2's 5.8-ish million units. And so, like, yeah, the Switch 2 editions, us who own a Switch 2 are going to buy, but to the other 148 million people on Switch 1, they could just buy that Switch 2 edition on their Switch 1 and not spend $450 to $500 on a brand new system. So you have to sell them on the idea that, hey, there are experiences I want that I can't get on Switch 1. So Metroid Prime 4, great game, or a great looking game. Pokemon Legends ZA, Pokemon sells, but Pokemon's gonna sell where the base is, where the fan base is for Pokemon, and most of them are still on Switch 1. So, not to mention that in your video, you actually continually were like, oh, it looks okay, like it didn't blow me away, and I'm like not foaming at the mouth for it. And like, okay, well then there you go. There's your reason why people aren't going to go buy a Switch 2 for a Pokemon that just looks okay, right? Is even the upgrades are not there, and I think you said you played it at one of those events a demo for it on Switch 2. If it did not blow you away on that console, people are just going to get it on Switch 1. So, sorry, I had to get that out. It popped back up in here what I was wanting to say here. So anyway, so Wii U, Wii U, first year. Okay. Started off with three titles from Nintendo on launch day. So it was should probably just start using this hand. New Super Mario Bros. U, which was apparently good enough to warrant a Switch 1 port. So there you go. Nintendo Land, which was tech demo. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't just pull that up. Sing Party, which I don't know that a lot of people ever bought, but my brother did. It needed a way better song list, I think, but yeah. We didn't really get anything else that I could justify until July no, it was June, I think. New Super Luigi became available as DLC for New Super Mario Bros. And then later in August became a standalone title. So that's number 4. Game & Wario in June. Wind Waker HD, which was not playable backwards compatibility, in September. Wii Party U in October. Wii Fit U in November. And Mario Sonic 2014 Winter Olympics in November as well, but it was like just before, I think maybe 3 or 4 days before the cutoff. Hold on, did I count that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I did not. Somewhere I missed a finger. But it's 10 titles. So a couple more than Switch 2. However, I don't think I could say that this list is actually better than Switch 2's, right? Because there are no racing games there to scratch that itch, but definitely no Mario Karts. You do have a new Mario game, even if it's just a new Super Mario Bros. Series. And Wind Waker, people were begging for because it's on a system with, only sold 21 million, so a lot of people missed out on it, just so it could end up on a system that sold 13.5 million, where people didn't really get to play it. I actually like that one so much better. I struggle to play it on NSO online, whatever. But with all the graphical upgrades, the map literally being at your fingertips, the Wii U one was just it was necessary. You needed those improvements. Pikmin 3 was great, but Pikmin is Pikmin, and some people don't really like it. The Wii Fit and Wii Party was not really doing a whole lot for people because that did not help diversify that from the Wii at all. The WarioWare games, like Game & Wario, they are only small appeal to people. It was a fun game, and I got a lot of use out of it, but it's not something that's blowing people away, even though the tablet controls were fantastic on it. So, yeah, I mean, when you look at that as a whole, Donkey Kong Bonanza pretty much wipes any of that off the board. And then you add in things like Kart World and Yoshi and Kirby Air Riders and stuff. It's already better. So, yeah, more does not always mean better as far as game quality. Wii. Now that is probably a powerhouse there, because it is definitely the biggest list that we have here. Releasing in North America on November 19th, which that was the first console launch that I had ever been to, or my brother. He had saved up money from working a job in high school. I was still in 8th grade at that time. But he went, it was me and him and my dad. We went to Seminole Walmart. We waited in line, and it was great. It was fantastic. We waited till midnight. We got a Wii and Zelda, and went home and we tried that sucker out. It was amazing. So, um, but anyway, my experiences aside, we had 3 on launch day: Zelda Twilight Princess and Wii Sports, the most known of the two. Which Twilight Princess is a little bit hard to count here, but I'll tell you why in just a second. Because yeah, you could play the GameCube games on the Wii. However, I don't count a port of something if it releases first, and GameCube was months, not months, but at least weeks later. Because the GameCube one I don't think released until December. Wii's was out there in November. So, if you want to be technical, the GameCube is a port of the Wii. So, there you go. And then the one that people sometimes forget about, Excite Truck, the continuation of the Excite Bike series. So, there's 3 right there at the beginning. Early in the next year, there was WarioWare Smooth Moves. And then I don't have the actual date sit right in front of me. Pop it to this hand, I guess. So we Play was next. Super Paper Mario was pretty early on in there, so like that just Mario Party 8, Big Brain Academy Wii, Pokemon Battle Revolution, so big Pokemon game. Mario Strikers Charged brings us up to 10. And we still got a decent chunk of the way to go, so let's just rapid fire this. Metroid Prime 3, Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, Battalion Wars 2, Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, the first one. And then, just before that cutoff in November, Super Mario Galaxy. 16 titles in the first year, with things like a full Zelda, a full Mario, a full Metroid Prime, Paper Mario. And then you had your RPG strategy type games with Battalion Wars and Fire Emblem. You had a racing game with Excite Bike, party game with Mario Party 8. Like all genres are not only represented here, but represented in probably the best way with the biggest titles. So if you want to talk about something having games, I'm pretty sure the Wii is the actual thing that pushes that, and it pushed it hard. They wanted to sell that, they did. 102.63 million units in its lifetime. There might be something to releasing some of your best stuff in year 1, right? Because Switch 1 sold 153, and it didn't have 16 by any means, but we had 13 with Switch 1. And it had some representation for a lot of things. So, and here's the other thing. Both the Wii and the Switch 1 came right off the tail end of a not so great system, GameCube and Wii U. So, yeah, they kind of had that benefit, whereas Switch 2 is coming right off the tail end of a successful console. So, they actually had to make a lot of these games dedicated for Switch 2, and it's not like there was this pool of stuff that was being developed for the last system they could just throw in, put it out here for this one. So, but yeah, that's that long list. Everything else from here is a little bit shorter than that. GameCube, Luigi's Mansion and Wave Race Blue Storm was kicking it off on November 18th in North America. December 3rd, we got 2 more titles, which these are going to be kind of crazy for a first year, but Super Smash Bros. Brawl and Pikmin both launched on December 3rd. Then I don't have dates going forward after that, but Eternal Darkness, Mario Sunshine, Animal Crossing, Star Fox Adventures, and Mario Party 4. So that's 9. So that's 1 title more than Switch 2. None of them being digital titles like the Switch 2 had, because that did not exist for the GameCube. But, I mean, some of this is pretty solid. There's a bigger adventure type game with Luigi's Mansion. You've got a Smash Bros. Game in year one, as seen by everything else since. That's the only one that had it within not only the first year, like full year, but the first calendar year being within 2001. Pikmin kind of gives that strategy element. You got a full Mario game. You got an Animal Crossing, a Star Fox. So for people like me, that was great. Except for people like me, we were too poor to have a GameCube, especially at the beginning. And then Mario Party 4 for a party game. Really kind of brings that up as a whole. Except you have no sports games, and I mean, to those people, yeah, it probably felt like there wasn't a lot of games there, but to a lot of those people, they probably didn't touch the GameCube. So, yeah, man. And could we just bring up like how many people come out here and are like nostalgic for GameCube, but then you look back at the sale number of 21.74 million, and it's like, nah. I think a lot of you guys are lying. I'd be lying if I was saying I was nostalgic for GameCube, because me and my brother did not get a GameCube until 2005, like right before the Wii came out. And so we did not get a lot of those experiences. We got Luigi's Mansion, Mario Sunshine, Mega Man Network Transmission or whatever it was, and then Hulk, the movie game for Hulk. That was what we started with. We got more things later, obviously, but it pretty much fell mostly after the lifespan of the GameCube. So, yeah. We were not those nostalgic people, and we got ours used from a friend of mine. So, yeah. I just wanted to point that out, right? Like, if you're buying it used, especially after the fact, you didn't support the GameCube. You just tried it out. Let's go back a little bit further. N64, which is going to go from September 26th to September 26th of 96 to September 25th of 97. Long time ago. Yeah. At that point, I was 4. Yeah, I wasn't supporting nothing. I just got what the parents got me for birthdays and Christmases. So allowance money was never going to cover a game. Anyway, so it started with 2 titles, right? Yeah, I remember, because Wave Race came out in November, so you had to wait. And there wasn't even third parties, right? This thing launched with just 2 games straight up. Mario 64 and Pilot Wing 64. And I've played Pilot Wing 64. It felt like a tech demo. So, all you tech demo people, that doesn't feel like a game. So I guess it doesn't count as a game. It's counting on my list. Just don't worry. Don't go jumping in the comment section. It's here. And then Wave Race was the 3rd in November. And then some of this list is comprised of some rare games. I was kind of hesitant to count some of those, especially the last one. But Killer Instinct Gold, Mario Kart 64, Blast Corps, Star Fox 64, 007 GoldenEye. It's a licensed movie game, so I really hesitate to put it in this list. But it was Rare and Nintendo, so not only that, they've actually like redone it on the Wii, and it's shown up in NSO. So, I guess we can throw that in there. That's it. So that's 8. So that's Switch 2 numbers right there, and some of that was not quite as good because you had Pilot Wings and Wave Race in there. So like that's kind of Blast Corps was So I mean, like, yeah, some of it's better, but some of Switch 2 is like way better than anything on there. So. Give and take. And then Super Nintendo also only had 8 in its lifetime. Starting off with 3 games. Super Mario World, F-Zero, and good old tech demo Pilot Wings. And then... and actually it was 4, wasn't it? SimCity. SimCity was in there for North America. Then we got Super Scope 6 for the Super Scope. I don't know why they put that in the first year, but okay. Zelda Link to the Past, Mario Paint, and Super Play Action Football. Barely counts, but it's there as the last of 8 titles. So, yeah, that's the first year for all of those systems, right? Not a ton. And you could count third parties in, you could not count third parties in. It's sometimes hard to do that because a lot of them are just ports. And with Switch 2, it's just a sea key card garbage that I would love to just bury out in a desert in New Mexico, kind of like what they did with E.T. Just dig us a bunch of holes and just stick them in there because that's where they belong, is a landfill. But as far as Nintendo's concerned and their titles, first party, um, it seems pretty standard, honestly, right? Because Super Nintendo, N64, and Switch 2 were all 8 titles within that first year, assuming that nothing else comes out for Switch 2. And I mean, we're probably going to see something, right? Because if Yoshi is a March or April, we might get a May title of some kind, whether we know about it or not. There's a good chance that at least one more thing is going to pop in there. But so 3 of them had 8. GameCube had 9. Wii U was at 10. Switch 1 had 13. And the Wii had 16. So only 2 of them really kind of stretch out that average, I guess. But when you look at it, and they were the most successful consoles, I mean, Switch 2 is probably going to turn out okay in its lifetime. I don't know that it's going to be Switch 1 or even Wii numbers, but we'll see. I mean, it's got however long it's on the market to come up with some games, put them out there, and sell it to people. And it is a strong start. 5.82 is not something to scoff at, since it's only been out since June, which was July, August, September. So 3 months on the market, and I don't think that's even current numbers. I think that was the last time they reported. So within like a month or two, it sold almost half. Maybe like a little more than a quarter of the Wii U's entire lifetime sales. So I think we can like drop the concern for being Wii U level failure, but we're just gonna see. We're gonna see what happens. But if you ever have that thought or want to try to make that argument, like refer back to right here. I've got the list right here for you guys, and it is not uncommon to have that few of games in a Nintendo first year. Typically, 2 to 3 years in is when they start really pumping out those hits, and you're going to start seeing all your major franchises. So where we don't have a AAA Mario game, where you don't have a Switch 2 exclusive Zelda game, or exclusive Mario parties, regular Kirby games, Smash Bros. All of that, we'll see it. It's not like it's not going to be here, because most of those series have hit every single one of these consoles since they were created, right? Smash Bros. Has not missed a system yet, and Mario Kart really only missed getting a exclusive title for Switch 1, which was unheard of. But technically, Kart World was supposed to be that. It just did not make it. It couldn't cram it in there. So we got our brand new ones since Wii U days. Yeah, it's a rough stretch. But they don't typically do that kind of stuff, right? And like a lot of the series, like Metroid and Fire Emblem and Pikmin and stuff, like they'll either hit every console or they'll miss a few, right? Metroid did not show up at all on Wii U, and it did not show up at all on N64, but it was there for every other system. So just give it time. To those of you that are thinking that there's no games here, or there's not games for you, give it time, right? It's just the first year. strap in, sit back, and just enjoy the ride, because we're gonna get there. Might take some time, but we'll get to those games that we're looking for, because yeah, it may not be the strongest start. I mean, like I said, Yoshi's not like not the strongest title out there. I like my Yoshi games. I have my own concerns on the Mysterious Book, because it's not the typical Yoshi that I like. I like Yoshi's Island style games. This might not actually hit it for me, and there's always going to be that concern until that comes out. Mario Tennis. Not everybody likes the Mario sports games. If it had been Mario Golf instead of Mario Tennis, I probably would have passed, because no matter what they do to golf, I cannot get into it. It is just not a for me thing. And so I get it. Like, if tennis is not your thing, and like no matter what they do, they can't get you. I get it. I do. Like, that's not the Mario you wanted to see, and it can be disappointing. So, like I said, some of these channels just do not understand why you feel the way you do. I got you, man. I get it, right? I'm here to tell you that, like, it's not uncommon. It is not slow by any means. It does suck that Welcome Tour has to count in that list to be that 8, right? But we'll still see some stuff. We may get a small handful sprinkled in at the beginning of the year between January and June. And then I feel like either 2026 into 27 or 27 into 28 will start really getting some of those hits. The things that they're working on and they won't tell us about, right? And Zelda is getting its 40th anniversary next year, right? It's going to start in 2026. I still have hopes. Fingers crossed, Twilight Princess will get the HD version carried on over to Switch 2. I feel like the Galaxy thing was just, everything from 3D All-Stars was there. They didn't have to really do anything for Galaxy 1. They just kept it Switch 1, right? Because you can buy it on Switch 1 and play it on Switch 2. And that's the thing I think ultimately we forget, right? Because the no games thing comes to us who are in the install base, right? Those of us that have a Switch 1. We supported Switch 1, we play on Switch 1, and we need reasons to upgrade to Switch 2. But those people out there that have never bought a Switch 1 and they're thinking about coming to Nintendo for the first time and they want a Switch 2, they have the biggest library to come into thanks to backwards compatibility, because Nintendo has fixed so much in the issues at the start. So pretty much everything is now working. It's running great. Some things have the free upgrades, and so they're even better than what we played originally on Switch 1. So to anyone who's never jumped into the Nintendo ecosystem, like, come on in. You will find a game that you want to play. Just look at the Switch 1 library, man. Just go back through that. They are amazing games, and they just would have that nice extra little bump on Switch 2. So don't forget that they exist. It's just those of us from Switch 1, we've played all our Switch 1 games, and if we're not quite ready to go back through it, I get that. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are some of the biggest examples for me of what I'm not ready to go back through. But I'll get there at some point. Just hang in there. The exclusives will happen, and they're gonna be good. Nintendo's still pumping out good games. You get the occasional thing that's a little rough, like a Dragon Drive or a Welcome Tour, but the rest of it's still. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section. If you agree that this seems pretty standard and that there are things to come. If you want to try to predict some of the stuff, or just say what you really want to see come into Switch 2 in brand new entries or etc. If you disagree, you can feel free to comment. If you disagree, it's okay. Like, if you're like, man, just even hearing the list, everything else was better than Switch 2, it's fine. it's fine to feel that way. That those are not your games, or that you don't think that it's worth it, and we can kind of talk about it. Like what games would need to be here, at what capacity, for you to jump on the Switch 2 train. Um, because you could feel like me and need a Star Fox. You might want to see F-Zero come back, and it definitely makes sense. It's a racing racing machine. Where's F-Zero? Just whatever series or games that you need to see, comment that down below, or just whatever. If there was things from the direct that you were excited for, if you count Switch 2 editions in your list, we'll talk about it. Yeah, and then subscribe if you haven't. We definitely would like to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, which is slowly creeping on up. So definitely subscribe. I appreciate every single one of you guys. And hit the bell notification button to be alerted to new videos, because I do not have a consistent schedule. So it definitely helps if you want to see more of my stuff. They will tell you, hey, he's finally put up a video after like 6 days or whatever. And to those of you that were expecting a Let's Play Tabletop, because I'm now thinking about that, and I am sorry that did not happen this week. My birthday was Friday. I just didn't have time to do one, and I will though, because just a little teaser, I guess, for the rest of the Let's Play series. I did technically get 2 new Switch 2 titles for my birthday, but they were in the forms of pre-order, right? My brother and his family got me Pac-Man World 2 repack for Switch 2, being the cheapest of all key cards, and I do like Pac-Man Worlds. I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask for it. If I get it, I'm going to play it, and I'm going to love the crap out of it, even if it's a key card, because it's Pac-Man, and that 2 was like my favorite of the worlds, just so you know. And then my sister and her family pre-ordered Ukulele, or not Ukulele, Yuka Replayley, the new one, for Switch 2, the physical copy. So as long as nothing happens and this still comes out in October, you do have that to look forward to. So in the next like 2 to 4 or 5 week span, there's going to be some unboxings, and there's going to be some gameplay. There's going to be some Let's Play tabletops. So there is definitely stuff coming. And I took the weekend off for my birthday, so I apologize for that. But we'll be back next Saturday, 9 a.m. Central Time. So I don't know that I have that planned very well. Yeah, I got Cyberpunk on my list, so I'm going to probably do that before I'm done with Cyberpunk, and kind of just do a review, I think, at the same time. That seems fair. So join us next Saturday. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.